Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Ask NP Deidre with Nurse Practitioner Deidre Arms from Aspire Wellness Integrative Health. That's aspirewih.com. Make sure you visit her website to learn more about her teleservices. She has great telehealth services in many states across the US. But if you're in Ohio, you can definitely go visit her there near Columbus because she is there and available to help you with all your nutritional and supplemental needs. She's absolutely wonderful, has even helped me a lot with so many different things. So, Nurse Practitioner Deidre, you have been traveling to quite a few longevity conferences. And last week we talked about cardiovascular health. Today we're talking about what could be the root cause of cardiovascular issues and vascular issues such as peripheral artery disease, gut health. But it turns out your gut is literally responsible for your longevity. Can you talk about the tie between the two?
Absolutely. I get so excited to talk about gut health. So
Oh, you love the gut.
I literally can relate everything back to gut health. So our microbiome is incredibly important to chronic health, like our longevity. So 20% of people live in a state of disease in their lifetime, like that's the statistics. And we live 20% of our life in disease. So not 20% of people, all of us live about 20% of that, our time with a disease, and it's a chronic condition. And so when we look at that, what we're trying to do is optimize health to where the percentage is much less, right? We're not in a disease state as long. So gut health has a lot to do with prevention, and one of these new conferences that I went to was all about immune health as well. So I'd like to plug in a little bit of how that plays into part two. So
Yeah.
with the gut health, it's really about food is medicine. We've talked about this a lot, eating the rainbow, really feeding the microbiome what it needs, avoiding processed foods and everything. But if we can optimize our gut health, we can reduce our chronic conditions. So, and that's like your blood sugar is hugely regulated through short chain fatty acids in the gut. And how do we feed those? How do we improve that? Foods like resistant starches. So, fiber all day long. And
Lots and lots of it. Chia seeds are great.
yes, chia seeds, flaxseed. Love to add that in, especially women in menopause. So, adding flaxseed is really good for hormone balancing as well. But this latest conference was totally about immune health. And of course, I can relate that back to the gut, but we're in this season of where flu symptoms start up. I've literally had lots of cancellations because of people having COVID again and so we want to optimize like our immune response too.
And I just don't really understand. When can you paint the picture for the immune system? Because the immune system, I know it's in the gut, but I just think I need a little bit more of a visual. When you talk about the immune system, what does that look like?
Yeah, so in our microbiome, 80% of our immune system, it has to do with our secretory IgA. So like we can measure it through a stool test called secretory IgA, and that allows us to look at how these microbes, how like our immune response responding to something, and so the gut tells that story as well. And of course there are serum labs that we can draw to look at the immune response as well, but when I do a gut test, I'm really looking at that secretory IgA to see if it's amped up. And it can be amped up for many reasons. It can be a recent viral illness, it can be food sensitivities. There are several things that get the gut amped up, and that secretory IgA. And so the goal is to kind of remove what's the offender there. Is it
Mhm.
gluten? Is it dairy? Is it Epstein-Barr? And I learned a whole lot about Epstein-Barr being the bear once you poke it, you are activating a lot of immune stuff. Yeah.
How do you poke the bear to get the Epstein-Barr virus?
So if you've had mononucleosis and you end up with Epstein-Barr from that, so that's kind of a latent type virus that lies dormant in the system. But if we start to work on your immune response, you poke the bear by working on your immune response. So these viruses, they have a biofilm around them that is incredibly hard to penetrate through with just short treatments. And so that's why we have all these latent Epstein-Barr and things like that. And so when we poke the bear and we really start working on your immune response, sometimes you feel much worse before you get better because you end up having an incredible amount of mucus, joint pain, things like that as you're going through a healing process. And it's because we're breaking through a biofilm. We've poked the bear and the bear is aggravated. And so that's the analogy that is used. And, there's lots of natural things that we can do, but the immune response hugely can help with our overall feeling well. So somebody who's had this cycle of, I'm well and I'm sick the next month or a few days later, they're constantly on antibiotics, they aren't feeling well over and over, that's when we really want to look into your immune response.
I know that I'm on antibiotics for kidney infection, and I'm using the Gut Restore and the Akkermansia, which I just heard that your pendulum Akkermansia was just, I think, labeled as the most how do you say it in terms, I don't want to say this wrong. It's the most recommended by doctors. I
It
think that's what I saw on their website.
Yeah, and so what Colleen Radcliffe did, she owns the company, and she was able to develop a way for this specific probiotic to get into the right part of the stomach. And so before that, we didn't have that ability. It would like die before it got to where it needed to be. But the Akkermansia layer in the gut microbiome is the mucus layer. And it's so think of it being that barrier that protects anything from getting through into your bloodstream and everything. And so most everybody that you're talking to or hearing from in this functional medicine space really highlight like Akkermansia as being very helpful. One, to help your immune response, to help with your mucosal lining, to like your blood sugars can be, elevated when you don't have Akkermansia at all. You go on this metabolic trajectory without having Akkermansia.
Yeah.
So hugely
Yeah, I have
important.
I got a little. Yeah, I love it. I mean, this particular one, I can actually, I'm experiencing a difference. It takes a few months to
Mhm.
really get, the feeling where you're starting to see a difference, feel a difference, but it definitely works. And I think it's working really well with the Gut Restore that I started, and it's helping me with the side effects from the antibiotics, I
Yeah.
think. But when you have those antibiotics, your immune system can be impacted as well. And it's really important to restore your normal flora throughout your gut.
Right. And acromantia, even for those people who have a histamine response and they blow like with any kind of probiotic, it actually, like, we know it does well with people who typically have those adverse reactions to probiotics because it's not a one size fits all with probiotics. Like, some people will take them and be like, I feel like so bloated with them. And so acromantia is a little better on the GI. So is spore-based probiotics for anybody who has bloating.
That's interesting. Okay, so the gut restore I started experiencing. So as soon as I take it down, literally not long after I start to feel pretty bloated. So that's not a good thing, or do you think it'll alleviate over time?
It can alleviate over time. A lot of that is because when you don't have those microbes and then we introduce them, it's just like somebody who's on a standard American diet and starts to eat high fiber the
Yeah.
next day, and they're like, I can't do it because I'm just bloating and my stomach looks like I'm pregnant and everything. You have to do it
Yep.
slower if that's happening. Give your body time to adjust to
Okay.
improving that for sure. So,
because I went to order these new pants that have resistance built in from Sweet Flex. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're all over my Facebook page. And so I went to go measure, and my waist was literally a couple inches more. And I was like, I don't wear that extra size. Where did that come from? So I'm imagining it's just because of the bloating. So
yes, it is. It
that's
is.
so frustrating.
Yeah, and that can be terribly frustrating, right? Because when you get the abdominal bloating, and that's why they make the spandex for everybody.
Exactly. So tell us how we can boost our immune system. It's interesting. I use emergency. So when feel like I'm high risk, when I feel like I've been introduced, I've been around a lot of people, I'll usually do 2 or 3 days of emergency paired with turkey tail mushroom powder. I swear by the turkey tail mushroom powder. I don't know. I have a vascular surgeon, Dr. James Antazana. He swears by lion's mane, but
Mhm.
still all in the family, right? It's mushroom powder. And I when my dad had the trifecta of RSV, norovirus, which he gave to himself twice in a row,
Yeah.
and he he got it back, and he had pneumonia. The doctor looked at me when he was in the hospital, and she says, "You haven't gotten this, or did you come down with this first? Did you give it to him?" I said, "No, I've been fine." She says, "You lived with him?" And I said, "Yeah, I've been taking care of him." And she said, "You're screwed." I was saying, oh no. So I doubled my emergency and I doubled the turkey tail mushroom powder, and knock on, I didn't get sick last year
Good.
with this. So I think that that made a difference.
Yeah. So vitamin C is, great for the immune system, boosting it when you are around people with viruses. If you're somebody who has, though, the chronic virus, like Epstein-Barr, and your immune is constantly reactivating, constantly on antibiotics, constantly uh, coming down, being ill, there's more nuanced things that you would want to work on. But vitamin C, zinc, you don't want to go over 50 milligrams of zinc in a day for sure. Definitely talk to your doctor, and you don't want to be on high doses of zinc long term. That's just not necessary. So like, I had COVID, I think it was 2 summers ago, and we were all camping. Some of my kids, my husband, everybody, and I was so sick, and I got them vitamin C and zinc, and I made them pop these things every 2 hours as soon as they could, and none of them got sick. I was the
Oh,
only one that was
amazing.
sick, and we had to be in a car ride together and everything. There was no avoiding me. They couldn't avoid me. And so those things were incredibly helpful. Boosting your microbiome is great. Like I said, that secretory IgA, definitely boosting that. Probiotics can really help as well. And then glutathione. So that is your basically master antioxidant in the cell.
Oh,
Is
wow,
your
really?
mitochondria. Like, glutathione boosts the mitochondria. And so the ways you can do it naturally is those high polyphenol foods. So anything rich, purpley blues, things like that. So pomegranate,
Really?
blueberry, those type of foods, and especially purple, because we don't see in nature many foods that are purple. So you're going to want to boost your immune that way, boost your mitochondrial, help improve glutathione. And then oftentimes I will either supplement with an acetylcysteine, because it's the precursor to glutathione. Like, in your body, you make glutathione through an acetylcysteine.
What
Or,
is that?
yeah, it's called NAC, and
Oh, NAC.
we use it for lots of things, right? But it
I
does
heard
help.
that Germany has this optimized NAC that I've been trying to do a little research on, even more powerful than the one here. So when I find out more, I'm going to let you know. But I heard it through the grapevine.
Okay. And then, so it's the precursor to glutathione, where you make like how your body makes it, or we just go straight to supplementing glutathione in people who are not feeling well. And so the liposomal delivery of this, I've actually talked to many docs about glutathione and its benefit and supplementing it. But the liposomal, where you hold it in the mouth for about 30 to 90 seconds and then swallow it and use the oral cavity and bypass the gut, is actually a superior way to deliver glutathione. But that really helps immune response as well.
So with the NAC, I heard that also helps with the spike protein and detoxifying your body. Is that
That,
accurate to say, or is there a better way or more appropriate way to discuss that?
so I would say discussing it, not to get everybody amped up, would just be to know that NAC is, and like, just think, it detoxifies. It turns into glutathione. Glutathione detoxifies the body. It helps improve the mitochondria. So when you're doing that, yes, you are getting the improvement with all of that. And many functional medicine protocols like go into using NAC and glutathione to kind of heal viral infections and everything.
Um, okay, so what else? I mean, in terms of all of this, how do we put it all together for people so that it seems a little daunting. I'm not sure there,
Mhm.
can you give us almost a shopping list that we can have? Or, of course, everyone always discuss with your doctor. We're not giving medical advice. It's purely supplemental information to have a more productive conversation with your own healthcare team. So don't act on any advice or information provided here without the explicit consent of your own healthcare provider. But do you have kind of a list that we can bring into our doctor or bring to the store
Yeah.
so we know how to put all these together? I mean, you talked about the vitamin C, you talked about the zinc. Is it one tablet? Are the vitamin C tablets, are they dissolvable for underneath the tongue?
Yeah,
What
so
do you got for us?
you can get vitamin C in multiple forms. Um, you can do liposomal, you can do like the lozenges. Typically, when you're exposed to something, I would say um, for a short period of time, 500 to 1,000 milligrams is typically what we do to amp up things. Always be hand washing. Can't say that enough. Like, wash your hands everywhere you go. The zinc, typically no more than 50 milligrams of that for a short period of time. Usually about 30 milligrams can be done a little bit longer. And so most viruses run their course in about 2 weeks. So as a preventative, probably 3 days. Having those on hand. Elderberry is another really great thing, especially these organic ones. We have a local place here that we can get an elderberry syrup made, but that's a great thing to boost your immune response and just really make you optimal and avoiding. So we're about to go into the holiday season, avoiding sugars.
Avoid sugar. That will
Yeah,
break down your immune system just like that.
it will, and the high processed foods. And so when we're going out to visit everybody in the next few weeks for the start
Mhm.
of the holiday kick off with Thanksgiving, we definitely want to optimize how we're feeling. And so how you eat is really important at this time, like getting in your fiber, getting in your protein, and avoiding all the sugars. I'm not saying you can't indulge ever. I'm just saying, like, the more sugar you eat, you are depleting your um, immune. So,
It was interesting. I took your advice, with the adding the dark colors, and I made coleslaw. And I do a little cheatery. So I get the already made coleslaw. It has plenty of red cabbage in there along with the green cabbage. And then what I do is I add of course, the red onion, or it's more purple to me, kind of the purple onion, and then all chopped up. And then I add tart cherries, dried tart cherries without sugar added. Do you know how hard those are to find? I finally found them because I heard tart cherries are really good for you, but I didn't want the added sugar because I just want the tart and I'll balance it out with what I put into my meal. So I added that and then I added pomegranate seeds. And then when I served it, I added a few blueberries on top. And it was really good. My dad even enjoyed it. He said that actually was really satisfying. I was shocked.
That just sounds delicious, actually. And
Yeah.
the color diversity, I mean, you're hitting all the rich purples and blues in
Yep.
that. So high antioxidant. And what we put in our mouth has the ability to turn on and turn off disease. And so we just need to think of it that way.
And I added a little bit because I'm using mayo in it. I try not to use as much, but I also add, I do add a little bit of coconut brown sugar, just a tiny bit, just for a little sweetness because I'm adding the apple cider vinegar in
Yeah,
there as well. So, I think it balances out really well.
I think you're right. I mean, there's enough good in there, and you're not using a ton of sugars. I think it really sounds delicious, and that would be very high in antioxidants. Help boost your natural glutathione.
And I told you about my Reese's peanut butter cups that I made from
Yeah,
Little Slipper with the chia seeds and the spirulina and the beetroot powder and all
yeah.
of that. Yeah, that's even good. It doesn't have any real sugar, just the raw organic agave in it. And you're using raw cacao. I mean, the ultimate antioxidant, right?
Hmm.
Um, and it's a great holiday treat. No one will even know the difference. No one will miss the regular sugar in there and all of the other additives and preservatives and everything else. And they took me, honestly, 20 minutes tops. And I'm putting together a video. I'm going to send it to you in the
Good.
next couple of days. Our friend Don, who's in our network, is actually putting it together. He's very creative, and he's using a little bit of AI to spice it up just a little bit.
Nice.
So, so what else did you get out of your conference that you want to share with us on the immune system and living a longer, healthier life? So, your immune system and longevity.
I think the really big key takeaways would be that we all could optimize our health by working on our immune system. Um, I think that was a big key takeaway for me. Um, I have had Epstein-Barr in the past. I remember the first time I got mono and how sick I was. But what happens when you've had a virus like that, and so you can think of any virus, it's not just Epstein-Barr, it can be COVID or any one of those. But when you've had an illness, right, in that manner, so I'm going to use Epstein-Barr because that's my experience. Anytime that I'm introduced to a virus, um, my body and yours can go back to the first time and you can feel that all over again. And this is how people get into these cycles of they never fully feel like they're healed from something like Lyme,
Yeah.
like Epstein-Barr. And so it's that to me, like thinking about that and thinking about just over my life and when I have had a virus and but when I got COVID, my Epstein-Barr flared all over again, like it was the first time I ever had it. And I pulled the antibodies, and they were ridiculously high. And I was having all these symptoms afterwards. And I was like, that makes sense. My immune was triggered to it again. So for me, I'm going to be working on my immune quite a bit over the next quarter or more. So to be determined how well I feel.
I mean, in terms of long term, if you're looking at an everyday way, I mean, of course, you're going to say make sure you optimize all of the purple and reds and bright, vegetables and fruits that you can out there. But what about just an everyday supplement for making sure that your immune system is optimized? And I assume, as you've mentioned, that something for the gut is going to be important for that as well.
Yeah, one of the things that every one of the physicians and doctors were speaking about was truly glutathione, like the need for that
Mm.
antioxidant as we age and if we're working on the immune response. So there's a couple different types, but glutathione or ergothione, which has glutathione in it, with vitamin C, like those things were something that they all spoke about with, optimizing your immune.
And we do have a question that's coming in from Heinz. And in fact, Heinz has now moved from YouTube. Make sure you do subscribe to our YouTube channels. Um, what is it? Ask NP Deidre. Is it at NP Deidre as your
Yes.
YouTube channel?
That's it.
And make sure you subscribe to her channel as well as ours at The Way to My Heart. It helps us a lot in driving this information forward so more people can see it. But we do have Heinz here, and he went from watching on YouTube. He joined our live studio audience, and he has a question. He doesn't eat yogurt. And he says, so with probiotic vitamins, they advertise many strains, sometimes eight or more, are aided by the vitamins. Are there any strains that are important to boost the immune system and gut health?
That's a great question. We get that asked a lot. When you're looking at a very diverse probiotic, you want a multitude of things with lactobacillus and bifidobacter. So those are really good together to use. At least 6 strains or more, minimum of 20 billion. So some of my favorites, you know, I make no money from this company. CDOS01 is a very comprehensive one that has even cardiovascular strains as well as gut strains. But lactobacillus and bifidobacter, and then another one to add in periodically would be your Saccharomyces boulardii is a really good one to be adding in. And then we love Akkermansia, but if you're looking for just one thing that has multiple, look for the lactose and the bifidose together.
Our YouTube producer, our peanut gallery, Joshua, says you're casting spells. It does sound like
Exacto Patrono.
yeah, exactly. But it's true. So if anyone, you can go back, and we also turn this into a transcript. So you can go to Substack and look up peripheral artery disease, and we'll be posting a summary of this with all of the information. I can also later put it into the YouTube description as well. So to make sure that it's all easily available. So in case you can hear it, you can say it, but you can't spell it, we'll help you
Yeah.
with that in the next few days. So, any other great tidbits? I know we're short on time here, but just, any final thoughts? Immunity and your immune system and longevity. I mean, it just seems to be synonymous. I mean, if you think about it, people have listened to what you've said. You now could say longevity, and you automatically should think immune system health, and longevity.
Exactly. So my only last tip would be work on your stress.
Okay. That's a whole, you just went boom. Okay. That needs to be unpacked at another date. I
We
think that we
do.
could do that. This whole idea of stress on our immune system, because we don't visualize our stress. We can certainly feel it. Our blood pressure will show it. Sometimes we'll get headaches from it. We'll get fatigued because of stress. We have trouble breathing because of stress. And then we find out that stress causes inflammation in our arteries. But how does this all occur? What is the mechanism of action? What does that actually look like? I think that's a great teaser for next week. What do you think?
I do too. I think that's a really great teaser. We got to talk about it before we get into our families.
Oh, oh, families and the holidays and holy Moses.
Yeah.
Yes. Everyone's on a different schedule. Everyone has a different timeline. Some need you walking on eggshells, and oh Lord, yes. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
with you. So next week, everyone join us next week, and we are going to definitely talk about stress and how you can reduce it. But why that really matters, I think, is the most important, because understanding the mechanism of action, literally, if we paint the picture for you of what exactly it's doing, I think it'll help you to find peace in your life and go out of your way to do so. But thanks everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it. Don't forget